Step into the world of the Superpro podcast, where we lay out the blueprints of home service excellence. Join us as we break down the wins and struggles of pros who are at the top of their game. Put their wisdom into practice as you build your company's success.
All right, welcome to the Superpro podcast, the heartbeat of home service excellence. I am Roland, your host and co-founder of Housecall Pro, and I'm an advocate for all the hardworking pros out there making your homes better, safer, more comfortable. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the privilege of helping hundreds of thousands of pros, just like yourself, and just helping you guys achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. Today, I'm super excited because I've got a very special guest on. It's Schoenberger, and he's one of our early first plumbing pros in San Diego. He's one of the co-owners of Core Plumbing. Him and his dad have been in business well over a decade at this point now. And he's got a team of 14 people. He's got a fleet of trucks out there. His goal for 24 is to hit $4 million in revenue. I'm just excited because he just became one of our Conquer coaches as well. So he offers one-on-one coaching. And he's going to be someone we're going to dive into a little bit today. Hear a little bit about his struggles, some of his successes, some of the advice he'd give his younger self, and some underrated features and things that Housecall Pro users should know about. Welcome to the show, Grant. How are you doing?
Thank you, Roland. I'm doing great, man. It's great to be here and great to be chatting with you today.
Nice. Yeah, I'm super excited. We've known each other for a very long time. You started using Housecall Pro back in 2015, and you've given us so much feature feedback over the years and been using us. So I'm excited to be interviewing you today.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. As I think back, I remember we started using Housecall Pro because I met you. I met you at a small little trade show, and just, I don't know, kismet or divine intervention or what, but we connected and we started to work together, and it's great, man. I just felt like the heart behind what you guys were building was something that I really felt like I could align with. So
that's great. Yeah, I remember in the early days we were traveling to all the local PHCC meetings, and we're getting scrappy. We're going to all the local BNI meetings and pretending to be IT gurus and all kinds of fun stuff to try to get the word out about Housecall Pro. Yeah, the entrepreneurial journey is crazy. You went into it with your dad, and he founded Core Plumbing. I don't know when, but before you, and then
we founded it together.
You founded it
man.
Together. That's right.
Day one, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, he taught me as a young pup, and then this was our dream. And
so tell me about the founding story, because Don's been doing this for a while. And then at what point did you guys make the switch where you're like, all right, we're doing this thing, going into the business together?
I grew up in a house. My dad was my hero. He would come home late and dirty and tired. And, I didn't get to see as much as him as I wanted as a kid, but he always provided. He did what he had to do to provide for the family. And as I grew up, that was it was a stability for me growing up. And as I got older, I was just drawn to that. And as I was going through school, I felt like just this pressure of the college path is the only way. If you don't follow that path, you're a loser. And, pushing through the funnel of education. And to be honest with you, I have no qualms with that. I want my daughters to grow up and pursue their path. But I had this in my mind as a young man, seeing my dad work hard and provide for his family. And I knew that that was something that I wanted to pursue. And so he was working for another company for a long time. And I was, before and after high school, working for the same company in the office and kind of helping and just kind of following him as I could. And it came to a point where he knew it was this is time. And he kind of came to me, he was like, are we going to do this? I'm like, I'm here for it, man. This is what I've dreamt of. I don't have any other path. This is the path that I'm on. Mm-hmm. And so we did it. And
how old are you then? And how old was he roughly?
Well, this was 2008. 2006. I'm sorry. So I was 18 and, he would have been 50. He was 50 and I was 18. So he, as an entrepreneur, started his business 50 years old, which I think in and of itself is a little later than most of us get started. But he did it. And so I think there's a lesson there. It's like, it's never too late if you have the right motivation.
Yeah.
The right partner, maybe.
Yeah. Look, what I think is really unique and really cool is sometimes you'll get like father-son businesses where, you know, the father's been at that business for a really long time and then the son comes in. But what I like is just you guys, like day one, went into it together as like partners. And that's cool. That's super special. And especially him being a role model and, you know, you being that influenced by it, you know, in your early life. So that it was like a no-brainer for you, it sounded like.
It was no brainer. I knew the path that I wanted to take, and what can I say? It's been challenging, and it's been a blessing, and everything in between. And I'm so glad that I had the right partner to start this business with. That's one thing that, you know, many pros have to unfortunately experience is that path alone. And as I think about now, just my father and I have different roles in the business, and it's an island, man. I always have my father to lean on and to kind of, you know, connect with and say, like, we need to resolve this, or we need to work on this, or what are we going to do about this? And that's something that's a benefit and privilege I have that most people don't. But I know that feeling of like what I'm going through. None of my peers, like they don't know what I'm dealing with. No. It's lonely. It's lonely dealing with entrepreneurship in this way, and, you know, service business as a business owner, or it can be. And so I'm fortunate to have that, and I'm also just from the beginning been so just pleasantly surprised and grateful for that being recognized by like you guys as you're building the product, because the whole community aspect part of it is organic with you. I mean, being able to, like, you know, we started in San Diego, you guys started in San Diego, and I've got to get to know all of you guys too. And I get to see this, like, this heart and drive and motivation that I'm just like, this is not the cookie cutter tech business startup. These are people that care about what they're doing and the people that they're serving. And so to have that is something that's just so valuable. And I see competition in the marketplace, and that part of it just does not exist at the same level, not even close. And so it warms me to see that and see you guys continually invest in that, because the people that don't have a partner like I do, they're kind of gifted this like positive sum community of people that are just like, hey, how do I track this thing? Does anybody know how to, oh yeah, here we go. Here's what we use. Here's what we do. Da, 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 da. And it's just this constant positive energy. And, so as I think about, like I said, like Mike, you know, starting this business with my dad, the whole like aligning with Housecall Pro is just that same like positive support, because that's where it's lacking for someone in my situation. If I didn't have the partner that I have, doing it on your own is just the opposite of, I think, what we want to be doing or what we ought to be doing. And now with Conquer, it's just you guys just like both feet in, diving in further. Like, not only are we going to build this community, we're going to also like add a layer on top of this like additional like mountain of resources to where you guys, the pros are not just here to exist and to function, but also like with a direction, like a place to go, like heading towards thriving and going towards where you want to be.
Yeah. I think, you know, our mission is to champion all of our pros to success. And we just happen to have started out as a tech company, and we started building tools, you know, which is Housecall Pro. But there's so many other tools that are necessary, and I think can just speed people along that path that you mentioned. which goes beyond just tech, like community, you mentioned it, and then Conquer coaching, which is another part of it. And there's all these things that you might not have ever gotten taught or learned. You might be a very skilled tradesman or woman, just perfecting your craft, but the craft of running a business is like a whole nother beast to just completely understand. And that's hard because, you need to learn it somewhere. And so it's definitely like, as we try to fulfill our mission every single day, it's a very great piece of the puzzle that we can kind of put together that, pros, hopefully some that are listening can take advantage of, and all the pieces, you don't have to do it all at once. You can kind of put it together as you need it. But yeah, that support that you mentioned, not everybody has, a partner in their business. Some go into the family business with their spouse. I can only imagine, the tensions of running a business, not just, with like a parent, but also a spouse. It could be really, really beneficial and also really difficult at times too. But the fun part is at Housecall Pro, there's many companies, that you can reach out to, that you can talk to, and ask for advice. And it's definitely part of what brings me joy every day, for sure, is seeing all that in the community.
Well, there's a difference about seeing people lead from the front, and that's something that I don't know. It's a broad term, but like I see you on there. You're busy. You're busy doing other things, and even then, like you're present and engaged because this is something that matters to you, and I see that and I appreciate that, and it doesn't surprise me because I've known you for a long time, and you're still there with a heart for the people that are trying to figure this out and trying to get it going, and you want to see them succeed. And it's a very outwardly focused outward expression, and that's the common thread that I see in your company and the people that are in it, and the talent that you attract. It's refreshing, man. I feel like it's somewhat of an oasis in the desert. So, bro, I don't want to hype you up too much, I guess. I'm doing that the whole time. But I'm really thankful for the relationship with Housecall Pro, because this has been something that I've needed and received the benefit of over and over myself. And now I'm in a position to extend that to others in the same way.
Now you're a Conquer coach yourself. I mean, the story arc is really great. And that's why I'm so excited just to be talking to you today, because it's a special podcast, because now you're in a position where you can help other pros that are maybe one step behind, 10 steps behind, just starting, taking their first step into building their business, the full gamut. Looking back at it, if you were to tell baby Grant, a decade ago, or actually more, way more ago now.
18 years.
Yeah, 18 years ago.
18 years, brother. Can you believe it?
What would you tell your younger self? Like, do this, don't do this. What's the do this and what's the don't do this?
I'll tell you. There's one thing, and that is pride and ego is worth nothing, but it leads only to destruction and setback. And sometimes I think we can categorize and separate what we think is like healthy pride or unhealthy pride. And I'll tell you, as an entrepreneur, what qualifies someone as an entrepreneur, by the way, is someone that just takes a risk and tries to start something maybe. But when I think about looking back, I wish that I had some kind of coaching early on, like with something like Conquer or just anything. But when we started, we had this idea that like we're surrounded by companies that are, we live in a state where there's no regulations. So like anybody can have a company and hire people and send them out and be a plumber. Only one person needs to be licensed in the whole company, which is
crazy within itself.
Kind of bananas in a state that seems to be drowning in regulations. But that's where we're at. And so what does that lead to? That leads to a marketplace that's oversaturated with sales. It's all numbers and sales. And the consumers, homeowners, they don't know. They don't know what the difference is, or how are they supposed to know what's going on? And so we wanted to be the difference. We wanted to be the company that, we don't need to compete with that. We haven't gone through sales college or whatever it is, at that time. But you know what? We're excellent at what we do. We are doggone excellent. And we're going to serve people in a way that they will not find elsewhere. And we're going to be reliable, and they can trust the work that we're going to do. And they can trust if something goes wrong, we're going to be there to resolve it. Mm-hmm. And when someone meets me and hires me for the first time, like that's the last time, so long as they live close enough to us, that they ever have to have a problem, that they don't have someone at their fingertips that they can say, you know what, let me call Grant. Sure, it's Sunday afternoon, and who else is going to, it's going to be a call center no matter where you pick up, and they'll book you, but they don't know. But Grant will get me straightened out. And even if he can't come out, like I know that I have that relationship. So that's what our business was built on, is the pride in craftsmanship. Our little saying is for our company is we're cultivating the time-honored tradition of craftsmanship. And that's what we believe in. It's a standard we enjoy. Maybe it's healthy pride. I don't know. I don't want to contradict myself. But that's what our company was built on. And as we go back to like what I would advise myself on early on is just don't be so prideful that it's like, well, I can do it. I don't need anyone else to tell me what I can do. I can do it. I see the people running these other companies, and this was our mindset. I see these people. I may have thoughts about, what their integrity may or may not be and how they're operating. And I see what's going on, and we're going to do it differently. And we're going to be successful at this because of blah, 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 blah. And I don't need anyone else telling me what to do. And a much more successful and healthy mindset would be, yes, all these things are true, but also I'm going to surround myself with people that know more than me and are smarter than me and have more experience than me. And I'm going to be humble in my spirit so I can receive that and just, that's the path of wisdom right there. So that's how I would advise myself. And I see it in a lot of young pros. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's not even something that is distasteful, because it's like the drive and it's the push to like, I can do this.
The heart's in the right place, but
the heart, yeah,
it's a tough path.
There's so much help and support that's present from people that are not competitors, and they just want to see you succeed, and they want to help you build your business the right way that looks like you, and to just give you the tools to not have to learn lessons the hard way yourself, like people like me did. We were stagnant for years early on because we don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, what can I say? I mean, it all led me here today as I'm talking with you.
Well, you did something right? And so I think along the pathway, being humble is so important to any entrepreneur, because to a degree, we're all imposters and everyone's learning along the way of life. But being able to be open to feedback and humble enough to receive that feedback is mm-hmm. huge, because there's so many different ways to success, and there's not just one way. And if you think there's only one way, you're wrong out of the gate. So it's definitely like a growth mindset, kind of a place you got to get yourself into. That's hard in the beginning, because the reason you get into entrepreneurship is because you're like, you see something wrong, you can fix it and do it better than the guy next to you, right? And so that's why you go into business. But I think along the way, there's lots of people who have walked that path. And so can you receive that knowledge, that wisdom of the people that came before you? Like, I don't know all the things that went into building this thing. I don't even know if I could build this thing myself, right? Even if I had all the tools, right? Like whatever it might be, or like why do it with business, right? Why do it with business? What's something that you wouldn't do? What's something that you did that you're like, oh man, that was definitely like a setback, or that took me years to fix? And something different than the theme we've been talking about already.
Well, I'm happy to elaborate further, but as you mentioned that, I'd like to bring up something that continues to be something that requires like mindfulness and, a healthy caution for. And that is, as we kind of get to these points where we learn these things, I think it's natural for us to kind of feel like, okay, I have that captured. I learned this. I've achieved knowledge of this, whatever, in this category. And now I know it. And now I can kind of move on. And this is just like a pillar now, and a pillar of knowledge, or a pillar of a reference point. And as we build our business, and as we work through, growth, and the pain and the struggle of it, and also the victories of it, those things that we solidify quite often hold us back as we go further down the road. And something that, one of my mentors, I have mentors now, by the way, that's something that you see people that are running any business that you want to be like, they probably are doing themselves what you're doing if you're pursuing wisdom. It's not something that you just come to, all right, well, I know everything now. Great.
Done. Yeah. Check.
No.
All right. Next. Yeah. No.
I become less confident in my knowledge, but I'm more appreciative of it, and continue to pursue it with increased fervor. Someone taught me that just the concept, what got you here won't get you there. What got us here won't get us there. And as we look into like all aspects of our business, like the systems that we use have these different kind of ceilings, right? So as you're operating with like 1 or 2 or 3 guys, and you're rolling, it's like, well, I know that I'm going to be at Miss Johnson's house tomorrow. Like, I don't need to put it on the schedule. Like, I know that I'm going to be there, and like, that's fine. Like, that's not going to fall through the cracks. And you can kind of operate like just fine with those kind of systems. And then you get to 4 guys, and you get to 5 guys, and all of a sudden it's like, he didn't know I was going to be going here, and he didn't, and it starts to disrupt itself. And so you have to change your system. And now you have to be more diligent about scheduling everything. And that's just kind of a small, I think, relatable example, because we went through the same thing at that transition. But what got you here may work just fine to the here, but it's not going to get you there. And if anyone is listening to this podcast, or if anything is anyone's in the Conquer program, or seeking seeking growth, I think that's a critical mindset that we all need to embrace. Is what got us here won't get us there. And it's a humble one too, because it means everything's always on the table. Everything's always on the table for hashing it out and picking it apart. And is this still the best strategy?
Yeah, I feel like you're just saying, like, there's no sacred cows. Like, is a really big one. Like, everything can, you can come after it. I think the stuff that I like to work on is like, if I had to re-envision it from scratch, what would it be like? Right? What does the future look like? Rather than incrementalism. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. You get 1% better every day. Sure, that stuff works and compounds, but you have to be willing to, like, start from zero, and if you knew what you knew now, what would you do differently? Like, how would you start it? What would you do? Keep that in mind. And I feel like a lot of people, like you said, just because you're at whatever point you are now, doing more of it might not necessarily get you where you want to go. In fact, it probably will do the opposite. And I feel like that's why you'll see lots of businesses kind of unlock these milestones. They'll do something to get to a certain point, and they just can't get to that plateau. And they need some coaching, some mentoring to like break their, those pillars effectively. Be like, forget that pillar. Try again. Try this little dinky piece of wood and see if you can build on this. And then, oh wait, it's working, and it gets you to the next plateau and the next plateau. But you need to find those moments. And I think the example you use is great, which is like, oh yeah, I know what I talked to Mary about yesterday. Why would I ever take notes about that? Right. And like, oh, I know the job that I did, 2 years ago at Roland's HOA complex. I just know it. Why would anyone else? Why do I need to record it? Why would I need to do that? But like, your future self is probably punching your younger self like, dang it, Grant, like, come on, we should have had that in there. It would have made this so much easier, right? And that is kind of like a tax on your future success. That's sometimes
it's a good way of looking at it. It applies in so many ways in our business. financial planning to culture, how you interact with your employees. Again, like you have this crew and certain things you do are going to have a certain impact and get a certain result. And then as you grow, you realize that the same things are not getting the same result. And it's like, well, okay, so now we need to have meetings differently. And really, I want my team to feel appreciated, and doing the same thing is not getting us to that result anymore. And so it's easy for us because you get the victory, right? You get a positive result, and it's like, okay, so we're going to stick with that. That got us, that strategy got us the positive result. But it got us here. It hasn't gotten us there. And there is where we want to go. So it's a constant cycle of humble sauce. It's just learn from your mistakes and we don't throw everything in the trash, but it's this constant evolution of thinking and strategy where I think as long as we're able to like set any pride and ego aside and say, what have we done? What could we have done differently? What can we do better? And be willing to embrace that with all the things that we're confident in.
There's a great book called Ego's the Enemy by a Stoic, Ryan Holiday. It's a really good read, all about ego. So if you're like super interested about that, that's definitely a good breakthrough book. He's got a lot of other great ones too. But speaking about like plateau breakers, like, can you remember something that helped you break a plateau, like a specific thing? Like we've been talking a lot of theory and strategy, philosophy, but like, what are some practical things that you remember doing maybe like 5 years into business, maybe like 10 years into the business that allowed you to kind of break through that ceiling a little bit?
Yeah. We, for a long time, were trying to compete based on price point. And I felt like, you're my customer. I come to you and I say, you have this, leaking thing, and like, here's the right way to do it. Here's our cost to do it. For too long, I thought that was the best approach. Now it's coming from a genuine place. I want to provide you a better service than my competition is. And it comes at the price that,
it takes to do it.
It takes to do it.
Yep.
There was a point where we decided to rethink our sales strategy. And it really was just, when I change out a water heater, most of them are kind of the same. But every once in a while you have a customer that like wants something cool, and maybe they want to like have instant hot water instead of just, what they're used to. And maybe they want to have, something that has a longer warranty, or something cool usually to me means something built and cool and different. Maybe they want to have some cool kind of setup for their pets to drink water from, or whatever the case may be.
Cool.
And it's like, those are the fun jobs. Those are the ones that you go after. But how often are customers coming to you to say, hey, I want to spend more. I want to go above and beyond. I want to, it's almost always going to be repeat customers, because you kind of already have to have that trust built with them.
Yep.
And there's more people that like kind of like cool stuff and like to upgrade what they have.
They might not know, right?
Then we're not accessing.
Yeah.
So why are we taking that option away from them? And so we said, okay, fine. We're going to provide options, because really I want to meet the customer where they're at anyway. And so we just decided, okay, you need a new water heater. Well, I'm just going to tell you what the absolutely base necessity water heater option is going to be. I'm going to say, here's that option. Here's the option for the really cool one. The really cool one has this, it has that, it has this safety redundancy, it has this notification system, it has all these other things built into it. This one is awesome. It's really cool. If that's what you're looking for, you've come to the right place. If budget is more of a concern, if you're looking to like get value and you need to, put this fire up, but you want to know that it was done the right way, here's that option for you. And if, you just got hit with an insurance bill that's wiped you out financially, and you need to put this fire out, and you need just like the minimum patch it up because you got to keep your house running. Here's that option. Then I can kind of meet you where you're at. And either way, I'm going to perform well. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden we just unlocked like so much, and it was just self-limiting. We're just self-limiting by like deciding, I don't know what your financial situation is. I don't know what your decision-making process is. I don't know what your budget is. Why am I deciding for you what the job should be and what it should cost? And when we decided to kind of release that of ourselves, and I bring this up because I talk to a lot of people that kind of still embrace that mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of tied to this integrity idea. But when we released ourselves of that and started just operating like, listen, I love building cool things, and I love working for people that love to build cool things, and people that want to build cool things are always thrilled and happy with having cool things built for them. So here it is. You want to do it? If not, let's do the other thing. And all of a sudden, our tickets skyrocketed. We took every opportunity is now worth more. And if the standard was X, we're not at 2X, but we're X plus whatever across the board, just for not limiting ourselves. So that's kind of a simple sales strategy, and I think most people are on board with that anyway now. But we have these self-limiting beliefs that we kind of don't realize exist there until we dive in and let it be on the table for us to pick apart.
I think what you mentioned, and it kind of like slipped through a little bit, but it was just like, oh, I let go of the integrity piece. But then, because a lot of pros are like, oh, if I offer multiple options, like, then I'm trying to sell something or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I talk to a lot of pros, and I tell them like, well, you got to let go of that, because your integrity is less by offering one option than if you offered more options. Because like you said, you never know what the situation of the customer is. You never know what they can afford, regardless of the type of house or car you drive up to. Mm-hmm. You never know those things. And by not offering options, you're making a decision for them on their behalf. And you're actually not. I would argue your integrity is less, right? If you're like, this is it, this is the price, take it or leave it. Versus, hey, here's like 4 different things I can, like you mentioned, here's just like, I can put a Band-Aid on it. And it'll last however long it lasts. You got my number, call me, right? Mm-hmm. And then here's, like you said, the base version. I'm going to get you exactly what you had. And it's going to last you another 10 years. You're going to get the best bang for your buck. That's that option. And here's like a couple more things. Oh, by the way, another thing I like to say is, are there other things that you can offer? Like, never leave a job without giving another future estimate for that customer. And that one's simple. Like, you might have noticed something. It might not even be your own trade, but just some extra things that like your professional vision and knowledge of like home systems and those things that a homeowner has no clue about, just leave it with them. They don't have to take it. They don't have to do anything with it, but there's a chance that some do. And like you mentioned, even if 10 or 20% are like, yeah, I want the cool waterless heater, instant hot water, fully electrical, hooked up to my solar, all kinds of craziness, that's all of a sudden you've changed the trajectory of your business and kept the lead volume and call volume the same. And
you're not going back to Google and saying, yeah, increase my ad budget to get more leads of the same value.
That's right.
It's a internal change that you can make to just make everything worth more, to get more value.
I love these tactical things. What's another tactical thing you put into place? What's another one where you're like, all right, we changed this complete mindset, or we implemented this new system, or what's like another tactical?
So as far as customer communication and follow-up, if you're not automating it, you're not doing it. This is a concept that applies, again, in many different areas, but we're talking about things that depend on human action. And anything that depends on a human person to do it or get it done, it's just, there's going to be a threshold of performance versus, done to completion. And then you have turnover, you got to retrain things. So we come from my father's generation where every follow-up is done personally. You keep like a notebook of people you need to follow up with. And it's this old school kind of method. And that's one that just makes a difference if you can automate certain parts of that system. So we use Housecall Pro for as much of that as we can. And now, even like the newish, I suppose, I might be late to the party, but Pipeline is a newer feature release of Housecall Pro. Here again, we have something that we can implement for extremely minimal cost, and the result that we can expect from it is the same. We're taking what we have and we're getting more from it. So if you can take 10 jobs, and let's say you're, the best salesman in the world, and you close 7 of them, I'll get pushback on no matter what number I say on that. But anyway,
that was a lose-lose situation.
I put myself there. Let's say you got 10 jobs and you close 4 of them, and you implement this tool that just kind of helps automate follow-ups and the ones that you don't close. Well, you're going to get back whatever the additional average is, right? Let's say you get back 1 more of them. Well, that's not 1 more lead you had to buy. That's not an increased marketing budget you had to do to capture that job. It's just automate what you can. So that's another thing that's just constantly evolving. It takes time it takes a time investment up front to build these systems. And then once you do it, you have something that can function, and I think that's something we lose focus on.
Input, without your own brain power, I feel like the biggest thing about systems is like you can let it out of your brain, so you don't have to remember it. So you can make it for other things that really matter. I'm not saying that following up on a job doesn't matter. It definitely does. But like there's simple things like that you can, like you said, you automate. And what's greater than 0, even if it's 0.5 of the 10 end up upselling, well, guess what? Over 100 jobs, that's 5 extra jobs at an average, I don't know, $800 a ticket. That's an extra $4K, that you just pulled in for something like Pipeline, which the price depends on plan, but I don't know, average price is like $50 a month or $75 a month for that feature, but it pays for itself. Right. And
it's a low cost of entry. And like you said, any business, any pro over the course of the year, think about all the estimates you run that you don't convert.
Yeah.
If you compare not following up versus having just an automated system, even if it's not a human being following up, if you have something in place, you're going to recapture something. And if you can automate, you might as well do it. So automation in its simplest sense and most related to revenue is job follow-ups and customer touches, multiple touches, booking, reminders, upcoming job, review capture, follow-ups.
Yeah, it's all part of the customer journey. The second they either call you or they book online, whatever it is. Speaking of online booking, you were one of like the early online booking pioneers. I feel like every pro would laugh in my face and say, I'm not going to put my prices online. I'm not going to be booked online. They don't know my schedule. I don't even, they could be all the way across town. I can't offer online booking. What made you believe in online booking? Why did you think like, maybe this crazy idea is good enough to try? Like what was your thought process in kind of getting there and now being, one of the like highly booked online company? Like how did that work?
Well, you're a really good salesman, and you convinced me that it was worth it. And I said, okay, all right, Roland, he's never done me wrong. I'll trust him on this. And yeah, you're right. Giving someone else access to your schedule and the control on that level is not something that we're all typically looking for. But in practical measure, it doesn't work out that way, because what you're not really doing is you're not really giving someone else control over your schedule. All you're doing is capturing that lead. Once they're on your schedule, they're not shopping anymore. They're not looking for who's going to come. And look, if they're across town and they booked you for 2 hours from now and you're on a job for the next 3 hours, they're your customer already. You have all their information. They already looked at your business, made a judgment, and decided to book with you. Yeah. So it's pretty low level of friction to call them and say, hey, thank you for booking with us. I'm so thankful. I'm looking forward to meeting with you. I know we're going to be able to take care of this for you. You're going to be thrilled. And people they like to talk to other people that are genuine. Like, hey, I'm on a job right now. I know it's going to take me this much longer. And I want to give you the time that you deserve. Can we push that appointment to this time or tomorrow morning or whatever? Mm-hmm. Now you have 2 points of contact that are both positive. They already made a good judgment about your business, and they got to have a conversation with you where you made them feel valued. By the time you show up to their door, you're ready to convert.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think meeting someone with where they're at is a big part of it. Not everybody wants to only do a phone call. Not everybody wants to only do text. Give people the option to kind of book you the way that they want, because sometimes it can be intimidating. As a millennial myself too, I'm a busy guy. I don't have time to go chase down a bunch of phone calls and then get a whole bunch of random phone calls back and figure out who's calling me and what. If I see your reviews online, you look good, or you're recommended by a close friend, and I just have the ability to book, let me just book. We can always figure the other parts out later. I think what you did early on and figured out, which is probably a golden nugget for those listening, but maybe is obvious, but not enough pros are doing, which is Grant uses real pictures of real people that aren't all stocky, that aren't all folksy. If you see Grant in a picture, that's Grant. If you see Dawn in a picture, that's Dawn. All this personalization, you're truly, as a local business, you're selling yourself. Your reputation as a company, being able to see it and be like, oh yeah, that looks real. People like pictures and people like people. Just because you're booking online doesn't mean you lose any of that. Just figure out a new way to present yourself. And I feel like you've always done a good job at that, but I think is a hurdle for some people to just mentally get over, because it is hard, and sometimes you do have to get sold into it a little bit. But once you have it turned on, you'll never forget the last 2 a.m. booking you get that you probably would have missed, or even not even 2 a.m., 8 p.m. when you're having dinner with your family, or 7 p.m., probably 6 p.m., whatever time it is. Those things come in overnight, and just let people make those, because you never know when someone is out there surfing the web needing something. And they stumble across you. Make it easy for them.
It's true. Yeah. Reduce the friction. You have people that a phone conversation is just more confrontative than they're comfortable with. Even a friendly one. You're a stranger. I don't even know what my problem is. I know I have a problem. I need help. And this is a moment of vulnerability for me, that I have to call a stranger that I don't know and ask them to come help me. Mm-hmm. And I can just book the appointment, and I'm done. And the problem's solved. And my, husband or wife is not on my back to solve this anymore. It's I'm off the hook.
Check. Yeah.
Meet people where they are. Yeah. And, from a sales perspective, it's the one pivotal thing that I learned, and now is just ingrained in me, is make it about them. Make it about them. Don't make it about you. Make it about them. And that's what you're talking about, Roland. Make it about them. Meet people where they are, and meet their needs.
Yeah.
Make it about them.
I think the same thing goes to when it comes for time to pay. I see it too often where people are like, I only do check and cash. I only do check and cash because that's what I want. Because that's how I want my business. And, who knows where that cash ends up or where the checks end up. But it goes back to, too, give them the ability to pay in the way that they want. Because it isn't just about racking up Disney miles, but it might be, especially when it comes to plumbing, they're probably mostly unforeseen type of things that just popped up, and they weren't planning on that. They weren't budgeting on that. And, the average American has I don't know what it is, but $500 to their name. And so all of a sudden their water heater explodes and they need a new one, because who wants to take cold showers? Where's it coming from? You guys use financing. Tell me about your experience about that, or how that's either helped you or your philosophy around that.
I agree with you. Again, make it as easy as possible from start to finish. Make it as positive as you can throughout the process. Plumbing, particularly, typically a grudge purchase. not always. The people that are upgrading their homes and they want to do cool things. So I don't want to have a regular, I want a tankless water heater and I want to upgrade my bathrooms. And those customers exist too. But most of the time when we have a problem, it's like you said, it's not something that we've budgeted for. And so you have to call a plumber. You need them to come help you fix it. It's probably going to be expensive. And, that's the situation. And so, Grant shows up and, Grant can be like, yeah, here's what it is, let's do it. Or Grant can be like, I understand what you're going through. I've been there myself. And frankly, I'm here to serve you at your level. So let's talk about what's going on and the ways that I can solve this for you. And if the upfront cost is the big hurdle, then we have tools. We can make this as painless as possible. And so if avoiding any upfront costs is going to help you, like whatever financial situation you're in, or frankly, like sometimes it's just more convenient. I'd rather just choose this way. Again, we don't know people's situation or their decision making. So let's just lay it out on the table, make it as easy as possible, and let them decide what serves them the best. So the financing on jobs is it's so easy and natural because it's integrated with Housecall Pro. So I offer it to every customer, and not everyone pays the same way. Some people pay cash, check, credit card, whatever. If financing is the way you want to go, great. It's like 2 buttons here, done, and we're off to work. So it's also sometimes it's a financial burden, and it's like I don't know what we can do based on this. I don't know where our needs are, and I don't know what we can afford to cover, and so. Often I find in that situation, it's a matter of relief to them to be able like, oh, wow, okay, I can actually take care of this. And it doesn't require anything of me in the way of like pushing them in any particular direction. Anybody I meet with, I just want to be clear with them. I'm here to do a great job for you. I'm here to meet you at your level and serve you at what your needs are. So let's talk about what need to do, what we can do, what we must do, and what we should do. There's usually a must do list and a should do list.
I like that description, a must, especially when it comes to plumbing. You must do this. You should probably do this too. And here's how we can build something really freaking cool for you. And
there's a may do list too. And when you can have that tool in your bag, which, thanks to Housecall Pro, it's like snap, you're done. It's super easy. And I pretty much only get positive feedback from it. So there are other generations that maybe sometimes need help, like clicking the buttons on the phone or, whatever they're doing, but
doing e-signature here. Yeah.
Is that a sensitive way to say that? Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. The phone's not going to eat you alive. You're all right. You'll be all right. Well, we've gone well beyond what our normal time is, but this time has been so valuable because I feel like there's so many golden nuggets in all of this. Before we go, is there anything you want to like touch on that you wish like young Grant could have heard? Anything else you want to share with the audience?
I think you mentioned it earlier, the whole like, concept of like the imposter thing or self-doubt. I think as I've learned, like at every stage, it's something that's kind of always there waiting for you to embrace it if you're going to. And I'm here to say, just don't do it. Just believe in yourself, and you're going to probably fail along the way. And I hate, fluff talk. I want to, show up with realness and content and stuff that you can sink your teeth into. So I don't want to stand here and say like, just believe in yourself and you can achieve anything. But recognize that self-doubt does not serve you. It doesn't help. It doesn't serve your business, and it's not going to help you get anywhere you want to go. So, something that I would offer as advice, and my coach coached me in this, and I'll pass it along to others, is when you have those situations, give yourself 30 minutes a day, and it's going to be between this time and this time, and you're going to allow yourself during that time to feel the self-doubt and soak in it and let yourself just do whatever you're going to do. And after that, it's over. It's gone. You're not allowed to do that anymore. Teach yourself to compartmentalize. It's like block scheduling your brain or block scheduling your emotions. Teach yourself, fine, feel it. Give yourself an allowance of that, and then it's over, and then move on and give yourself something that you're going to focus on after that, because sitting in that and dwelling in that is not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you out of whatever you're dealing with. It's not going to get you forward. So let's see it for what it is and not let it suck the life out of us when we're dealing with employees that we had a good relationship with and we trusted, and they betrayed us. And we feel like, I don't know how to manage anyone anymore because I thought I had done a great job and this person absolutely betrayed me. It's not helpful, and it's not true. And man, seek the truth. Seek the truth. There's my one. There's my one. Seek the truth above all else. And self-doubt is not it.
I love it. Awesome words to end the podcast on. Thank you so much, Grant, for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we'll have you on again sometime once we hit episode 101, and we'll go from there.
My pleasure.
All right.
My pleasure, of course. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.